Hello students, today we are going for the next heading called as estivation. So the word estivation indicates it is the arrangement of sepals or petals in a flower bud or in a floral bud. So it is nothing but arrangement of sepals. So we can call only sepals, arrangement of sepals or arrangement of petals. So arrangement of sepals or petals in floral. The meaning of floral, it is nothing but flower. So in a flower buds there is a presence of how the sepals are arranged, how the petals are arranged. For that we call it as estivation. This is again important for the examination. There are different types of estivations are there. So I will repeat this. Estivation is nothing but the arrangement of sepals and petals in a flower is called as estivation. So the first one is called as valvate estivation. So the first one is valvate. So valvate estivation means, so in a pentamerous flower there are two words. One is trimerous and the other one is pentamerous. So these words, just I am making it clear about these words. Just have a look. Here the word trimerous. So the trimerous means it is nothing but only three tepals are being present, three perianth. So for a perianth, when there are three petals are there, or three sepals are there, or three perianth is there, we use a word trimerous. This is present in the monocots. Whereas in a dicot, just we see it is a pentamerous condition. The meaning of pentamerous, 5 sepals or 5 petals is called as pentamerous. So in a flower, in a dicot, there is a presence of 5 sepals or 5 petals, hence we use a word pentamerous. So have divided this into 5 sepals or 5 petals. So here in a valvate estivation, you can see the arrangement of sepals and petals is, so one petal ends here and the other petal ends here. So one after the other, one another. So arrangement that touch one another is called as valvate estivation. Or we can use a word end to end arrangement. End to end arrangement, or they touch one with the another one. So this petal ends here and the other petal starts here, ends here, it starts. Like this end to end arrangement or one after the other is called as valvate estivation, and this valvate estivation can be noticed in a calotrophes. So in a calotrophes, so there is a presence of valvate estivation. So this is called as the first one. So I'll repeat this. End to end arrangement is called as valvate. One with the another one is called as valvate estivation. So this is called as example calotrophes. So we go for the second one called as twisted estivation. So in a twisted estivation, so just you can see here, one petal is in and one petal is out. So here we call in and out arrangement. In a twisted estivation, in and out arrangement. So just I am going to give the diagrammatic representation. So this is called as in and this petal is out. So you can see in and out arrangements. So the arrangement is like this. In one petal, one edge is in, one edge is out. So the other one is again in and out. Like this, all the sepals or all the petals, they have in and out arrangement. So this in and out arrangement is called as twisted yeast division. So here in a twisted yeast division, in a 5 sepals or 5 petals, one edge of a petal is inner side, one edge of a petal is outside. So it is called as in and out arrangement. Example for this is hibiscus. So hibiscus is called as China rose. So in this, one petal is in and one petal is out. That is called as twisted yeast division. So we go for the next one. Students, we are going for the next one called as imbricate yeast division. So in a imbricate yeast division, we can see that one petal or one sepal is completely in. The word completely in, both the edges of a petal is inner side. So one petal is completely in and one petal is completely out. Arrangement is out. So both the edges of one petal is out, both the edges of one petal is in. The remaining 3 will have in and out arrangement. So this is called as out and this is called in. So the remaining 3 will have in and out arrangement. So hence it is called as imbricate. So in a imbricate, one petal is completely in, one petal is completely out. The remaining in and out is called as imbricate. So here one in, one out, remaining in and out arrangement. So this can be noticed in cassia and gulmohar. So in this we can see imbricate yeast division. So we go for the next one called as waxillary yeast division. So the word waxillary yeast division, here the arrangement is slightly different. So one of the petal, as I mentioned, in a papilionaceous corolla, one of the petal is called as standard petal. Same way here, one of the petal is called as standard petal, and this standard petal, both the edges are out. So here, both the edges of a standard petal is out, and the 2 petals which are smaller called as wing petals. Wing petals are also called as ala. So in this wing petals, both the edges has in and out arrangement. So one edge is in, one edge is out. Here again this is in and this is out. So the wing petals has in and out arrangement. Whereas 2 more petals are fused like a boat. 2 more petals are fused to form a boat shape, and these petals are called as keel petals, or it is called as carina. So in these keel petals, the 2 petals are totally in. 2 petals are totally, or we call it as 2 petals which are fused. Both the edges are in. In a standard petal, both the edges are out. In a wing petals, in and out arrangement. So this type of arrangements can be noticed in a Papilionaceae, example beans as well as pea. Even in Crotalaria also we can see waxillary type of yeast divisions. Students, we go for one more word which is important at the time of floral diagram. So when you are writing a floral diagram, these words to be noticed. So here when we use a word polysepalous, or when we use a word polypetalous, so this indicates sepals are free or petals are free. So when we have written in a description polycephalus, you must and should notice that here one petal and the other petal should not touch. So here they should have a small gap in between the petals, and this gap indicates polycephalus or polypetalous. So that indicates here there is gap, or that this indicates they are free. They are not attached, they are not united, they are free. So we are going to give a small gap in the floral diagram representing polycephalus or polypetalous. So when we go for a next word called as gamocephalus. Gamocephalus means fused, or we use a word gamopetalous. So when we use a word gamocephalus or gamopetalous, here the sepals are fused. Here the sepals are or petals are fused. So in this condition, just you are going to show like this. Here both the sepals or both the petals should be united. So when you show this condition, this indicates they are fused. Gamocephalus fused, or we call it as gamopetalous fused. So this is nothing but gamo means fused. So when you write like this, it is fused. When it is free, they should have a gap. So these words to be remembered. So we are going for andrecium. The third part, we have completed first part called as calyx, the second part called as corolla, and the third called as essential whorl. So in essential whorl, the first one is andrecium. So andrecium is nothing but male sex organs. It is a male sex organ. It is called as andrecium. Or stamen makes andrecium. Stamen makes andrecium. So here we use a word male sex organs, stamen or andrecium. So this andrecium has the sex organs. So male sex organs have been present. Now when you talk with, when a stamen is taken, the stamen has two parts. One is called as a long filament, long stalk-like structure, and this is called as filament. The first one is called filament, and the second part is usually called as an anther. The second one is called as anther. So the filament and anther is connected by connective. So we can say the anther has two parts, anther and filament. If you want, you can say even connective, but you can represent the anther is connected by a filament by the connective. So anther, filament and connective. Now we go in detail. Inside the anther, there is a presence of male chamber. Male chamber, or we use a word pollen chamber. So inside this pollen chamber, there is a presence of pollen sac, or chamber is nothing but sac, pollen sac, which undergoes meiosis, or in the initial there is a presence of pollen mother cells. It is called as pollen mother cells. Inside the chamber or inside the pollen sac, there is a presence of pollen mother cells. This pollen mother cells undergoes meiosis, called as reductional division, and this produces spore tetrads, or we use a word pollen tetrads. So the word tetrads means four. So here one pollen grain and the other one like this, and the third one is here, and the fourth one is overlapping on this. So there are the presence of four pollen grains have been present, hence we call it as pollen tetrads. Four pollen grains have been produced. Once the pollen grains have been produced in the anther, they dies, or they open and throws out the pollen grains. So here, once the pollen grains are formed in the anther, they dices or they rupture and throws out the pollen grains. So this is called as the structure of an anther. So we are going for two words. One is called as a fertile stamen. When a flower has the presence of stamen which helps in reproduction and produces the new plants, for that we use a word fertile. So when a fertile stamens are present in a plant, so such type of a plant, male plants are called staminate. So you can notice a difference here. It is called as a male plant which helps in reproduction. So a fertile stamens produced is called as staminate, whereas some has the presence of sterile stamens. Sterile stamens. The word sterile stamens, they never help in reproduction. Stamens never help in reproduction, so we call it as sterile. So the sterile stamens which have been produced is called as staminode. So the staminode is nothing but where the plant produces sterile stamens, they are called as staminode. So we are going for the next study. So classification of stamens. So in this, based on the attachment of a filament and the anther, how anther is attached to the filament, based on that we are going to write different types. So here the first one is called as basifixed anthers. Basifixed anther. So here the anther is fixed to the filament at its base. So here there is a presence of anther. So at the base of the anther, the filament is present. Here the base, anther and the filament, this is called as anther and this is called as filament. At the base of the anther, filament is present. So for that we call it as basifixed anther. This can be noticed in Datura. So in a Datura, basifixed anthers have been present. So we go for the second one is called as dorsifixed anthers. Dorsifixed anthers. So this indicates on the dorsal side of an anther, filament is present. So in a dorsifix, on the dorsal side. So here when you take an anther, this is the anther. On the dorsal side of an anther, the filament is present. So this is called as dorsal side. The anther is present, so it is called as dorsifixed anthers. This can be noticed in Fasciflora. Fasciflorae or in Fasciflora called as fashion flower. In this fashion flower, dorsifixed anthers can be noticed. So we go for the third one called as adinate anthers. So in a adinate anthers, just you see that here there is a presence of filament. This is called as filament. On either side of the filament, there is the presence of anthers, like this. You can see the difference between basifix and adinate. At the base of the anther, filament starts. But here, the filament continues to the tip. On either side of the filament, the anthers have been present. For that, we use a word adinate anthers, and this can be noticed in called as Champaka, called as Michelia champaka. So in a Michelia champaka, just we see there is a presence of adinate anthers. So we go for the fourth one called as versatile. So in a versatile anthers, this is called versatile anthers. In a versatile anthers, the anthers are diverted. So you can see this is anther. So like this, anthers are diverted. Here there is a presence of filament. So this can be noticed in the wheat. It can be noticed in the wheat as well as in the grasses, and it comes under a family called as Poaceae. So this four comes under the attachment of filament and anther: basifix, dorsifix, adinate and versatile. So here basifix anther example is datura, dorsifix anthers fashion flower, or it is called as fasciflora, and the adinate anthers Michelia, Champaka, Sampige uva. Next, versatile anthers wheat and grass. So we are going for the next heading called as addition of stamens. Here the word addition is nothing but united. Here the stamens of a flower is united with the other members. Stamens of a flower is united with the other members. We are going to see one after the other. The first one is called as epipetalous. Epipetalous. Here the word petal is nothing but corolla. The stamens are always attached to the petals. Here stamens are attached to petals. So here petals are nothing but petalous, or petals is nothing but corolla. So here the stamens are attached to the corolla, hence they are called as epipetalous. Here you can see this in the brinjal. In the brinjal as well as in the hibiscus. In the hibiscus also you can see epipetalous conditions are being present. So here stamens are attached to the petals. So we go for the next one called as epiphyllous. Epiphyllous. In this epiphyllous, the stamens are attached. Stamens are attached to perianth. Perianth is nothing but tepals. So here stamens are attached to the tepals. So this is called as stamens are attached to the tepals, or perianth is called as epiphyllous. This can be noticed in a lily flower. In a lily, just there is a presence of epiphyllous. And we go for the next one called as gynandrous. So the gynandrous is also called as gynandrium. Gynandrium. So gynandrous, gynandrium is nothing but here their stamens and the carpels are attached. So here stamens and carpels are attached or united is called as gynandrous. So this gynandrous can be noticed in calotrophes. In a calotrophes, you can see stamens and carpel. Carpels are nothing but the unit of gynoecium. So carpels and gynoecium called as stamens, carpels are united in the calotrophes. This is called as gynandrous. So we go for the next one called as cohesion of stamens. This is called as union of stamens. So union of stamens, based on this there are different types. So the first one is called as adelphous. So here the word adelphous are nothing but when the stamens are united by their filaments. Stamens are attached to the filaments only. For that we use a word adelphous. So here the anthers may remain free, but here based on the attachment based on the attachment of stamens with the filaments. They are called as adelphous. So we are talking with this. In this, we are talking with the first one called as monoadelphous. The word monadelphous or monoadelphous, the stamens are attached to the filaments to form one bundle. So they are attached to give rise to one bundle. So they are called as one bundle or one bunch. One bundle or one bunch is called as monoadelphous. This can be noticed in hibiscus. So in a hibiscus, there is one bunch, or we use the word one bundle of stamens have been present. So for that, we use the word monoadelphous. It can be noticed in hibiscus. So we go for the second one called as diadelphous. So the word diadelphous, here it indicates two. So the stamens are attached to the filaments in two bundles. So there is the presence of two bundles, and this is called as diadelphous. So especially in a pea, in beans, so 9 stamens will be in one bundle and only one will be in another bundle. So here it is also called as a 9+1 arrangement. So this 9+1 arrangement can be noticed in pea as well as in beans. So there is a presence of diadelphous. So when we go for a third one called as polyadelphous. The third one is polyadelphous. So the meaning of polyadelphous, many bundles have been present. Many bundles. Many bundles have been present. So here again when many bundles are there, this can be noticed in the citrus. Like lemon, orange, in all this citrus there is a presence of polyadelphous condition. So based on the adelphous, there are 3 types: monoadelphous, diadelphous and polyadelphous. So we are going for the next one. So one is adelphous, the second one is syngenesious condition. The word syngenesious conditions. So we know here when the stamens are united by their anthers only. So here when we go for the anther, so this is one anther and this is one more anther and here one more anther. So here what is happening? The anthers are fused, filaments are free. So here filaments remain free, anthers united. Here anther united, filaments are free. This condition is called as syngenesious condition. This can be noticed in Compositae or it is called as Asteraceae. So in the sunflower you can see the anthers are united and filaments are free. So when we go for a next word called as synandrous condition. In a synandrous condition, the filament and anther both are fused together. Filament and anther of a stamens are united. So when you take a word, this is called as anther. So here the anther and the filaments are fused. So anther is also fused, anther united, whereas the filaments are also united. Filament is united. So here anther and filament is united, that is called a synandrous condition. This can be noticed in Cucurbitaceae family like cucumber, and different types of gourds are there. In this cucumber and gourds you can see synandrous conditions. So we go for the next one called as length of the stamens. Based on the length of the stamens, there are 2 conditions are there. One is called as didynamous condition. So the word didynamous conditions. So in a flower, if there are 4 stamens are there, two stamens will be short and two stamens will be long. For that we use a word didynamous. Di means two. Two will be short and two will be long. For that we use a word didynamous condition. Example, labiata. So called as Ocimum tulsi. And the other example is salvia. In this tulsi and salvia, didynamous conditions can be noticed. So when we go for this next one called as a tetradynamous. So in a tetradynamous condition, there are 6 stamens are there. In 6 stamens, 2 stamens will be short, which are outer. 2 stamens which are outer will be short and 4 stamens which are inner will be longer. So out of 6, 2 will be short, 4 will be longer. This can be noticed in the mustard as well as in crucifers. So based on the length, there are 2 didynamous and tetradynamous conditions. So we are going for the 4th oral. We have completed calyx, corolla, in essential androecium. 3rd oral is completed. 4th oral is essential part called as gynoecium. So gynoecium is also called as pistil. So we know that 2 or more carpels forms a gynoecium, or we blindly use a word. Carpel is a unit of gynoecium. So carpel is called as, it's a unit of gynoecium. Carpel has 3 parts, or gynoecium has 3 parts. As we know that in a female reproductive sex organ, this is called as female sex organ, has 3 parts. One is called as the lower swollen part. Lower swollen part is always called as ovary. So the lower side, there is a presence of a swollen part called as ovary. And the second part is called as long elongated tube-like. Long elongated tube-like structure is present, and this is usually called as style. And the third part is at the tip of the style, there is a presence of stigma. So this is called stigma. So the carpel has 3 parts. One is ovary, style and stigma. So ovary, style and stigma. This stigma always collects the pollen grains. So once the pollen grains are dispersed or thrown out, this pollen grains falls on the stigma, makes its way and enters into the ovary. Inside the ovary, there is a presence of the female gamete. The female gamete is always called as ovule. So even it may be called as egg, ova, but the right word is ovule. So there is a presence of ovule. So this is ovary, style and stigma, they are present. Now we go for different types of gynoecium. Different types of gynoecium. The first one, the types of gynoecium. Different types of gynoecium. The first one is called apocarpus condition. Apocarpus conditions. So when a ovary has 2 or many carpels, let's imagine pentacarpellary, 5 carpels are there. So if the carpels are free, it may be tricarpellary or pentacarpellary, anything. If the carpels are free, not attached, then it is called as apocarpus conditions. Here carpels are free, they are not united. So when we take tricarpellary, 3 carpels. So just have a look here. This is 1 carpel. So Just have a look. Here there are three carpels. This is one carpel, second carpel, third carpel. All the carpels are free. They are not united. So such condition is called as apocarpous condition. So this apocarpous condition can be noticed in lotus. It can be noticed in rose, lotus, rose, and even in Michelia champaka. In Sampige Uva or champaka, it is apocarpous conditions. So we go for the second one called as syncarpous condition. Syncarpous conditions. Here carpels are united. Carpels are united, or it is nothing but fused. Carpels are fused. So here when we go for pentamerous, 5 carpels. Pentamerous, 5 carpels are there, like this. All the 5 carpels are fused. Here this fused condition is called as pentacarpous. Here the inner wall here is called as septum. Here the septum is free, but here the septum is made fused. For that we use a word united. So syncarpous condition can be noticed in hibiscus. So when carpels are fused, this can be noticed in hibiscus. So this is called as syncarpous. Even in potato, even in tomato and pepper, tomato, hibiscus, in all this syncarpous conditions are present. Students, we are going for the next heading, gynoecium, based on the number of carpels in a ovary. So in a ovary, how many units are there, how many chambers are there, how many carpels are there. Based on that, there are different types of carpillaries. So unique carpillary ovary. So unique carpillary ovary. So when you take a ovary, inside this ovary there is only one carpel. Only one carpel. For that we use a word monocarpillary. Monocarpillary means only one carpel. Example, mango and coconut. Simultaneously we can use one more word called as unilocular. The word locular, again it is called as chamber. So based on the chambers, unilocular. But here monocarpillary, mango and coconut. So when we go for a next word called as bicarpillary ovary. So in a ovary there are 2 carpels are there. So this is when you take a ovary, inside this 2 carpels have been present. This is one and this is one. Here there is a presence of ovules have been present. So it is called as 2 carpels. 2 carpels have been present, hence it is called as bicarpillary. You can notice in solanum and helianthus. So helianthus is nothing but sunflower. Helianthus is nothing but sunflower. You can see this. And again simultaneously other words called as bilocular. Next, tricarpillary. So the meaning of this tricarpillary, in a ovary there are 3 carpels have been present. So when you take a ovary, so there is a presence of 3 carpels like this. So 3 carpels have been present, hence it is called as tricarpillary. So tricarpillary example, liliaceae, allium, cephas called as onion and coconut are the examples of tricarpillary ovaries. And it is called as trilocular also. Tetracarpillary ovary. Tetracarpillary means, example, cotton. So here we can see there are 4 chambers are there in the ovaries. Here you can write 4 chambers like this. Here there is a presence of ovules. So 4 carpels have been present, hence it is called as tetracarpillary, can be noticed in cotton. We go for pentacarpillary ovary. Pentacarpillary means there in a ovary there are 5 carpels are there. 5 carpels are there, hence it is called as pentacarpillary. So 5 carpels are present, hence it is called as pentacarpillary. Example, hibiscus. So monocarpillary, bicarpillary, tricarpillary, tetracarpillary and pentacarpillary with examples. So based on the locules, there are different types. One is called as unilocular, bilocular, trilocular, tetralocular and pentalocular. So we are going for the next heading, placentation. Again important for exam, usually it occurs 5 marks question. Placentation. So the meaning of placentation, it is the arrangement of ovules within the ovary. So here arrangement of ovules. Ovule is nothing but a female gamete. Arrangement of ovules in the ovary or within the ovary. So this arrangement is called as placentation. So here based on the ovule arrangement, there are different types. The first one is called as marginal placentation. So in a marginal placentation, the ovules are arranged towards the margin, or we say ventral surface or margin of the ovary. So margins of the ovary, it is arranged. So here you can see, when you take a ovary style and stigma. Ovary style, this is ovary, this will be style and stigma. It is like this. So inside this ovary, the ovules are arranged towards the margins. You can see like this. Ovules are arranged towards the margins. This is called as marginal placentation. So this marginal placentation you can see in the pea and beans. Pea and beans are the examples for marginal placentation. So we go for the second one called as axial placentation. So in an axial placentation, the ovules are present at the central axis. So here when you take a pentacarpillary, 5 carpels have been present. So like this, 5 carpels at the central axis. At the central axis, the ovules have been present. So here ovules may be written 1 or 2 ovules. So ovules are present at the center, hence it is called as axial placentation. They are present at the axial. But here you can notice that there is U1, the septum is present. Septum is present, they are fused. So we can use a word syncarpus. Syncarpus, pentacarpillary ovary, axial placentation can be noticed, and this can be noticed in hibiscus. So in a hibiscus, you can see there is a presence of axial placentation. Even in tomato, even in lemon, there is a presence of axial placentation can be noticed. So we go for the third one called as parietal placentation. Parietal placentation. So here the ovules are always present towards the periphery. They are present towards the periphery. So you can see like this. The ovules are present like this. Here also you can write 2 ovules. Like this. So here this is called as ovule and this is called ovary. So like this, there is a presence of parietal placentation. They are present at periphery. Ovules are present at periphery. Example for this, you can notice this in the mustard. In the mustard, there is a presence of parietal placentation. Now we go for the next one called as free central. free central placentation. So in a free central placentation, you can see there is a presence of ovary. At the central axis, the ovules are present. So here septum is absent. The cross walls, here has I used the word septum, but here the septum is absent. They are present at the free central. So free central, at the central axis, the ovules have been present, and the example for this is primrose. Primrose is the example for free central. And the last one is basal placentation. So in a basal placentation, just we see there is a presence of monocarpillary, unilacular at the base of the ovary. This is ovary. At the base of the ovary, the ovule is present. So that is usually called as basal placentation. Example, you can see this in the sunflower as well as in marigold. You can see there is a presence of basal placentation. I will repeat this. Placentation is nothing but arrangement of ovules inside the ovary. Marginal placentation, beans and pea is an example. Axial placentation, hibiscus is an example. So marginal placentation, and this is axial placentation, hibiscus. Parietal placentation, the ovules are present at the periphery, example mustard. Here you can see parietal placentation. Free central placentation, at the central axis, the ovules are present, example primrose, and this is the free central placentation. Basal placentation, at the base of the ovary, ovules are present, example sunflower, marigold. This is called as basal placentation. So students, already based on the position of the ovary, I have mentioned about this, even this may include under gynoecium. So the first one is called as the superior ovary. Superior ovary is called as hypogynous. The ovary is above, all the remaining other parts are below. For that we use the word superior ovary or hypogynous. The second one is called as inferior ovary. Inferior ovary is called as epigynous ovary. So in this, the ovary is below, all the other parts are above. For that we use a word inferior ovary. The third one is called as semi-inferior or semi-superior, is also called as perigynous. So here the thalamus is usually half cup shaped. At the center of the ovary, all the other parts start. So it may be called as half superior or half inferior. So all these three also comes under gynoecium. So I have mentioned about this.